Alright guys, how you doing? It's Rabea. I hope you're all good. So if you follow my channel or you know anything about Neural DSP, you'll have noticed they released a new plugin recently, which is the Soldano SLO100 suite. The Soldano SLO is heralded as one of the best high gain amplifiers of our generation. It's an absolutely awesome amplifier. I actually own a physical version of that amp. After reviewing it, I was blown away that I had to buy one. I had to get hold of one, and just I'm so glad that I have it in the collection because it's a great amplifier for recording and it just feels great to play. But needless to say, it costs a lot of money if you were to buy one out of retail. And the cool thing with the Neural DSP plugin is that I think it's $99 and it sounds so damn good, and it sounds just like an SLO. And that's what this video is about today. I'm wanting to find out just how close it sounds to the real deal. Something that's worth pointing out here is that in my studio, and I'm sure many others, we use load boxes. Now, load boxes are really handy because you can throw your IRs on top and get the sound that you want. However, a load box emulates a certain speaker load, an impedance load. So, for example, I believe that the 2-Notes Torpedo emulates a 412. I'm not sure what kind of speaker driver it is. I know the SIR reactive IR load box uses emulates a greenback speaker. I know that the UA aux box emulates a 1x12. I think it's a 1x12. I'm not sure what the speaker driver is. However, it's really important when doing something like a comparison that you get as close as possible. Therefore, I was speaking to the guys at Neural DSP. I was speaking to Pancho and Doug and talking about this because I tried it with the SIR reactive IR, and it was my amp was a lot brighter than the plugin. And they said, well, that's probably because that the SIR reactive load emulates a greenback, which is a brighter speaker. And it never really crossed my mind, but it's just obviously the case that would make a massive difference to the sound ultimately when I'm trying to do something like compare. It's also worth saying that, you know, every amp is different, even though they're designed the same and put together the same in the same factory, whatever. They're all different. Each pot has about a 20% tolerance within it. So, you know, they're not, you know, if you put them all at the same setting, two different amplifiers, it's not going to sound identical. It's just not. That's just the way it works. And so, you know, you have to take that into consideration with the plugin that was modeled on. That's a certain model SLO that's going to be different to mine. However, we can still get as close as possible if we use the right reactive load. So hopefully that all made sense and John edited into something that made a bit of sense to you guys. But in a nutshell, I want to compare the amp with the plugin, and to do that I needed to get the right reactive load that emulates the right speaker cab that's featured in the plugin, which is a V30 speaker cab. Enter in this janky load box that was sent to me from the guys at Neural DSP. So this is a reactive load box, completely passive, and its only purpose is to emulate a V30 speaker cab. And I believe, I'm not sure if it was built or designed with the purpose of making the plugin, but they said this is what we have in the factory, which is what we use, so we'll send it over for you to do a comparison. And how cool is that? So it's as you can see, it's an old microtubes head. So it's completely, you know, there are only two ins and outs. You've got your 8 ohm in and you've got your unbalanced out. So the idea is that I can take this and use this, get the right feel and the reactive load that's correct to the plugin, and hopefully it'll get us pretty close. So in this video, I've got the amplifier going into that load box, and then from there it goes into Logic. I then load up a version of the SLO plugin and I disable the amp sim part of the plugin, and of course the stomps in front. So all we're left with is the 9-band, the speaker IR section, and the reverb and delay, which all come after the amp model. And then I'm going to load up another version of the plugin as is, and we're going to be able to test, we're just going to be able to see if they sound close. And I think it should be pretty interesting. I need to reiterate this again, that pots have a 20% tolerance in them. So although I'm going to set them the same as on the plugin as with my amplifier, it probably or might not sound the same. Especially, it's really crucial that I get the master volume as close to the plugin where it was set as possible so that we get the right response, the roll off of the presence and the resonance and all the rest of it. But we'll just see what happens. Okay, so I've got everything set up. I've plugged the SLO, the real amp, into the load box. That's a line out straight into the interface. And I've got a screen grab going on, so you should be able to see this now. Just so you know how it works. I've turned off this is the real SLO, so I've turned off the amp and the pedals. I've got the 9-band, even though I'm probably not going to use it. In fact, I'll just turn it off, why not? And I've got the IR section and the reverb and delay, because, you know, we need a bit of that. And then I've got the actual SLO plugin here, and I'm going to take off the 9-band as well. I'm going to take off the stomp. So we've just got the amp sim, speaker cab, and again the reverb and delay. In case you were wondering what the tracks I've got set up, obviously I've got a vocal track, I've got my real SLO, the plugin, and then a virtual instrument which is there to capture all the adjustments I make in real time to the plugin and record that and give you that. So it's just another way of capturing it. So that's what's happening. So let's start with the actual real SLO. Figure that's the best place to start. I'm not going to touch the microphones. The whole point of this is to just hear how it sounds as you set it up default. So right now I've got my Strat plugged in to the Crunch channel, and this is what we've got. Just for a reference point, so you've got it on screen. The settings of my Soldano amplifier, as you can see there on that camera, are exactly the same as they are on the plugin. So here we go. This is the sound of the guitar. So that's how the amp sounds into the cab section of the plugin. Now, I didn't want to mess around with the signal chain really at all, so rather than using an ABY that might affect things, I'm just going old school, unplugging and plugging back in. So this is the actual plugin. Immediately, less gain, sounds like there's more low end, more body, less presence roll off. Sorry, more presence roll off. Go back to the real amp. So there's tons more gain with the real amp. It sounds like it's not as, to me it sounds like the plugin is emulating the master being at a different point. So if that makes any sense, it sounds like I need to boost the master on the real amplifier. Hopefully that'll add some more low end, more girth in the mids, might roll off a bit of the presence, and it sounds like I need to back down the gain. Okay, so you might be able to see what I've changed on the real SLO, but I've boosted the master to 5, so it's at halfway, and I've backed off the gain by 1 notch. Hopefully this might be a bit closer. Let's have a listen. There's definitely, it's a nicer balance. Sounds like the gain's more controlled. Sounds like there's a bit more body in it. This is the plugin. Interesting. Still less gain, and it sounds again like, so listen, this is the amp. Again, it sounds like there's more presence on the real amp. Okay, so I've further backed off the gain. I've boosted the depth by 1. I brought the presence down, as you can probably see. Let's see what this sounds like. So that's the real SLO, and this is the plugin. Now it sounds like there's maybe a little difference in volume overall, but that's much closer. So in terms of what I've done, I've backed off a bit of presence, I've backed off the gain quite a bit. So rather than it being on 7, it's now on 5. Boosted some depth, and I've boosted the master by 2 notches. Everything's by between 1 and 2 notches, which is, I don't know, roughly 20%. there's a tolerance there, I suppose, but yeah, you can definitely hear they're very, very close now. Again, this is the plugin. I might just boost the plugin volume a tiny bit, master. And then here we go with the real amp. Okay, so now what I want to do is just add a little bit of reverb and delay to the situation. Let's do that. It's pretty cool that you can do this. it sounds good. It feels good, but I know that's the real amp. So let's go back to the plugin and add a similar vibe here. Let's do that, do that, do that, do that. Bosh, bosh. Still to me feels like I might have backed off too much gain on the real amp. I've just boosted the gain a tiniest little bit more over 5 o'clock on the real amp, so this is what we've got. And then onto the plugin. They're pretty close, I must admit. And I honestly, this is a bit of a learning curve for me because I didn't realize that the reactive load emulation really made that much difference, because I was really surprised when I plugged the SLO into the SAW reactive load and it was a lot brighter. But it makes sense that greenbacks are brighter. They modeled their reactive load on one of their trusty greenback cabs that they have. And so when I was talking to Pancho at Neural, and he's like, well, yeah, we've got a reactive load with a V30 reactive load in it, so let's send you that. And I'm just generally really surprised that that made all that difference. And it's fair to say that there is a 20% tolerance in the pots. I've done a tiny little bit of tweaking, and it feels really damn close. The thing I would say is that the feel thing, it's the real amp, so it feels, there's a little bit more, but maybe that's placebo, but I'm feeling it, you know? I would say that audio-wise, it feels like there's more detachment between the real amp going into the plugin than the plugin, and I don't know what that is. Maybe that's the time it takes for the signal to get there. I don't know. But it feels a tiny bit more detached in terms of sound than the plugin. Now we've moved on to the Overdrive channel. It might be a little bit harder to tell because there's more gain, but it should, you know, hopefully run the same results. I'm expecting, now that I've heard the Crunch channel, I'm expecting the real SLO to have more gain, more presence, and maybe it needs the master volume boosting. But as you might be able to see on the camera, yeah, master volume against the screenshot of the actual plugin, everything's the same. So 3 on the master, 7 on presence, bass, middle and treble and overdrive, and depth is at 5. I've done exactly the same on the SLO. Anyway, this is how it sounds. This is the real amp. That sounds fierce. Okay, anyway. Right. Anyway, this is the plugin. Everything the same settings-wise. Here we go. Okay, so same again. I feel like the real amp has more presence, more gain, and it sounds like it's not as open. So I feel like that's the master. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back off. I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to back off the presence by between 1 and 2. Going to boost the overdrive to 5, and I'm going to drop the gain by 2 as well, and see if we get any closer. Okay, so I've made those adjustments, as you might be able to see on the close-up there, but presence is at 5. Master volume's at 5, and like I said, depth at 5, and the gain is just a tiny bit above 5, but here you go. Yeah, there's a lot less presence on the plugin still. So what happens if I boost the presence on the plugin? It's really close. Again, that was just by boosting the presence a little bit on the plugin. I'm sorry that I'm getting a bit sweaty. It's really warm up here. Sun is beaming down today. But yeah, once again, it's like you just have to tweak it a little bit with that whole ethos of the 20% tolerance in the pots, which is something that I learned from the guys at Neural DSP. Apparently it's a common thing, but didn't really take that into consideration. But yeah, again, once again, so this is the plugin. And then this is the real amp. That's really good. That's really close. And you know what's really encouraging about that is that the plugin is obviously ridiculously more affordable than the actual amp, and it's interesting that you can get that close to the real thing with the plugin. Well, there you go. It's just a quick video to try and compare the real amp to the plugin. Like I said, I just wanted to take the Crunch and the Overdrive channel and just see how close they actually got. And like I said before, when I tried it with the other IR, when I tried it with the SO reactive load, it was a lot brighter. But after learning that that's because they'd modeled it on the greenbacks, it made sense. And like I said, the Neural DSP loadbox that they sent, it's not an official product, as you've seen. It's proper janky like Frankenbox, but it emulates a V30 cabinet, which is what's in the plugin, and it really did make a difference. So pretty fair test, really, because you know we're emulating the same load, so it's the same V30 load that, well, it's the V30 cabinet in the plugin, so that's the same. So you know it's going to respond the same. The amp's going to be hitting the same thing. You know, the same. It's expecting to feel V30 cabinet, so that's cool. But what's really encouraging, like I said, is you know you just boost the pots, cut little bits here and there, like I say, within that sort of 20% range, and it got pretty close. Close enough that I think if you were thinking about getting the plugin, that would sway me personally. But you know, that's my opinion. At the end of the day, take from that what you will. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let me know if you think this was a fair test, if you think it was helpful at all, if you think it was complete nonsense, of course, as well. But in any case, thank you for watching this video. Thanks to Neural DSP for sending the load box over for me to do this test. Yeah, like, subscribe and share. I've been Rabea, and I'll see you all very soon.